his youngest son, little Lucius Mason. Then commenced those legal proceedings which at last developed themselves into the great Orley Farm case. The eldest son contested the validity of the codicil, and indeed there were some grounds on which it appeared feasible that he should do so. This codicil not only left Orley Farm away from him to baby Lucius, but also interfered in another respect with the previous will. It devised a sum of £2,000 to a certain Miriam Usbeck, the daughter of one Jonathan Usbeck, who was himself the attorney who had attended upon Sir Joseph for the making out of this very will, and also of this very codicil. This sum of £2,000 was not, it is true, left away from the surviving Joseph, but was to be produced out of certain personal property which had been left by the first will to the widow, and then old Jonathan Usbeck had died, while Sir Joseph Mason was still living. All the circumstances of the trial need not be detailed here. It was clearly proved that Sir Joseph had, during his whole life, expressed his intention of leaving Orley Farm to his eldest son, that he was a man void of mystery and not given to secrets in his money matters, and one very little likely to change his opinion on such subjects. It was proved that old Jonathan Usbeck, at the time in which the will was made, was in very bad circumstances, both as regards money and health. His business had once not been bad, but he had eaten and drunk it, and at this period was feeble and penniless, overwhelmed both by gout and debt. He had for many years been much employed by Sir Joseph in money matters, and it was known that he was so employed almost up to the day of his death. The question was whether he had been employed to make this codicil. The body of the will was in the handwriting of the widow, as was also the codicil. It was stated by her at the trial that the words were dictated to her by Usbeck in her husband's hearing, and that the document was then signed by her husband in the presence of them both, and also in the presence of two other persons, a young man employed by her husband as a clerk, and by a servant maid. These two last, together with Mr. Usbeck, were the three witnesses whose names appeared in the codicil. There had been no secrets between Lady Mason and her husband as to his will. She had always, she said, endeavoured to induce him to leave Orley Farm to her child from the day of the child's birth, and had at last succeeded. In agreeing to this, Sir Joseph had explained to her, somewhat angrily, that he wished to provide for Usbeck's daughter, and that now he would do so out of moneys previously intended for her, the widow, and not out of the estate which would go to his eldest son. To this she had assented without a word, and had written the codicil in accordance with the lawyer's dictation, he, the lawyer, suffering at the time from gout in his hand. Among other things, Lady Mason proved that on the date of the signatures Mr. Usbeck had been with Sir Joseph for sundry hours. Then the young clerk was examined. He had, he said, witnessed in his time 4, 10, 20, and under pressure he confessed to as many as 120 business signatures on the part of his employer, Sir Joseph. He thought he had witnessed 120, but would take his oath he had not witnessed 121. He did remember witnessing a signature of his master about the time specified by the date of the codicil, and he remembered the maidservant also signing at the same time. Mr. Usbeck was then present, but he did not remember Mr. Usbeck having the pen in his hand. Mr. Usbeck, he knew, could not write at that time because of the gout, but he might, no doubt, have written as much as his own name. He swore to both the signatures, his own and his master's, and in cross-examination swore that he thought it probable that they might be forgeries. On re-examination he was confident that his own name, as there appearing, had been written by himself. But on re-cross-examination he felt sure that there was something wrong.